Hi, so recently I've been playing around with the Mover plugin, which is basically Unreal's new solution to character movement. So before you had basically character movement component, but it had some issues where it was kind of limited if you wanted to do different kinds of characters. Maybe you want to have like a circular planet with dynamic gravity and stuff like that. And classical character movement component did not have some of those features, so then you would have to create your own uh, character movement component from scratch, basically. So this character move is basically Unreal's new solution to kind of try to make it more modular and flexible, and also have, I think, better networking and replication. But yeah, that's kind of their general goal with this. I basically wanted to create a video to just let people know what this component is and what it is about. And right now you can only get it if you get the source version of Unreal 5.4. Otherwise, you basically can't get it in any release version because it's still not released. So you're going to have to wait for 5.4 to get even an experimental version of this plugin. So yeah, so if you want to get it, go to their GitHub and find the Unreal Engine 5.4 version. Download it locally. You have to do a bunch of stuff to compile the source files and stuff like that, and then you will be able to use it basically. Yeah, so let's just read through this so you get a general idea of what it is. So the Mover plugin, aka Character Mover 2.0 effort, has the goal of massively improving the existing character movement functionality in Unreal Engine. This is going to be a very large endeavor that has numerous touchpoints in the codebase, ranging from physics to animation to networking. The main goal of the effort are to support all types of all actor types, not only characters, allow gameplay programmers to focus on movement, less on the complexity of networking, improve extensibility and customization through modularity, while empowering non-engineers to craft their own movement, expand gameplay possibilities by discarding rigid requirements and improving interactions with physics simulated objects, support a generalized rollback networking model that other systems can also use. So yeah, basically more modularity, more possibilities with stuff. Also, simulation in their character movement component that they have now is also kind of limited. You basically have to disable the movement component when you want to simulate an object and kind of then start to deal with the physics there. But with this component, I'm assuming they're thinking of making it simulation, making it integrated with the movement. So maybe you can create like simulated characters, and those simulated characters can also use this character mover instead of having to ignore it, and then you have some custom solution for that. Also support all actor types. I think what I mean by this is basically that it's not just bipedal characters, and I'm assuming also there might include in this like vehicles or something, like maybe planes, helicopters or something like that, and also maybe like quadrupedal characters, I don't know, horses or something, because right now the character that you have is mainly made for bipedal characters. So you have like a step up stuff, maybe how you deal with push stuff around, physics interactions. So everything's kind of made for like a character that's generally the size of the human and is bipedal. So I think they're just kind of trying to make it just general movement of the character. Hopefully also you can use this movement maybe on objects that are not even characters, just to reuse replication. But also they said they're gonna have some generalized rollback networking that also other systems can use. So hopefully, instead of having to create like client prediction or something by yourself, so that's one thing that I recently was kind of doing just for fun to kind of learn about it. When you get a low amount of updates from the server, how to smooth out the movement, stuff like that. So I kind of try to create my own thing in blueprints, and it's interesting. But it's nice if they create like a general, if they make it way easier to replicate stuff like movement and make like a general good solution. That would be really great. So hopefully with this mover they are also going to introduce some general system for networking that we can use on other actors, not just the character mover. But that's just kind of what I'm hoping. But if even if just the character is decently replicated, where I don't have to worry much about it, I can just extend the character with my movement capabilities, that is also fine. It just can get a little bit annoying with replication, especially for characters that are not even using the character movement component that is right now in Unreal. So if you're using just the pawn and try to do some movement stuff there, then you're just gonna have to start creating your own replication if you want any stuff like client prediction, server reconciliation, stuff like that. But yeah, okay, so this is kind of general overview. So now let's go into the project and see what is this all about. Since I mainly like to use blueprints, I tried to kind of see how I can make the character move in blueprints, and it is kind of possible, but it's obviously not there. This is right now mainly done in C++, and they're kind of exposing a little bit some stuff, but in this version that I have right now is not there. So I'm assuming they're gonna flesh it out when they release the experimental version and alpha version and stuff like that. Yeah, so first, if you want to enable it, you need to go to the plugins and then just enable this. You don't have to enable these two, I just enable them so I have some examples to show you, but yeah, if you enable this movement plugin, you can right click then, blueprint, mover, and then find pawn and basically get the pawn here. So yeah, so I created one class just to test stuff out, and the main thing is you have this mover component. Oh yeah, actually, before we go deeper in there, I'm just gonna cover generally how it works, or I guess how I understand it, how it works. I didn't spend too much time, so I'm not intimately familiar with it, but basically what you have are these movement modes that you can basically customize, so you can add your own movement modes, you can create them. I also at some point created this jump movement mode just to test how I can create my custom component, and then basically you can layer them in here, or what I did is you can also add them at runtime. So while the game is playing, you can add new movement, remove new movement, so that is really nice. Just as an example, yeah, so for this, so this is the movement component that you have right now in the released versions. One issue is that when you want to see like movement modes, you have their own they're kind of fixed movements, and then if you want to extend it, you kind of have to create your own custom thing, which is a little bit annoying, because if you don't want specifically exactly what they are giving you, you basically have to or deal with their stuff or create your own things from scratch. So for example, I was doing some work recently where I had to create a character that has crouch, walk, jog, sprint, and some other actions, and basically these movement modes were not enough and were not covering stuff that I needed. So then I created my own enum with my own states, and that was nice, but then I also had to deal with these booleans, so is falling. So you have a bunch of these things that you have to incorporate in your own thing, and it gets a little bit more messy than it could have been. So with this, it's really nice. I can just customize this as however I want. I can completely remove all of this. I can add my own things, even at runtime, so that's real nice. After that, you have your starting movement mode. So this is which mode you're starting, and you're basically using text here. I guess I understand why they use text, because yeah, you cannot use enum or anything because it's kind of dynamic, so I guess. And then you have transitions. And if I click plus here, just to give an example, so there is like if I understand transition, it's kind of how you want to go from one movement mode to another if you don't want like a harsh transition. So I think what's happening, so let's say, so immediate, I think this is basically similar to none. Maybe there's some special thing here, but basically since each movement mode, when you switch to it in code, you basically say, maybe you say something like, I want my movement speed to be now to go from, let's say, 500 to 800. I want my whatever, my gravity to change to this, stuff like that. And immediate basically means I just want it next frame, I just want those values to be changed. But then you can create your own custom transitions. So maybe when you go from walking to falling, there is a little bit of a transition there. Some values are not instantly changed, so you can basically create that and have transitions. So these persistent sync state data types, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's some like syncing states or something. I'm not exactly sure what this means. Yeah, might be something to do with inputs. I'm not exactly sure, so I didn't touch it much. I just left it there. And this input producer, not exactly sure what it is. We can, I guess, leave that here. Then shared settings. So this usually, let me see. So this is something that you set so that your states can share some data between them. And if you use common legacy movement settings, you're basically using settings that you had in this character movement component, but then you can also create your own custom settings. So this is probably nice for transitioning from this movement system to the new one. But then you can also create your own custom shared data, so whatever data you want to share between different states. Yeah, you would do it in here. And gravity, this is nice. With the old one, you had just gravity that goes down, or the world Z, but in here you would basically have it any direction. Okay, so now that we have this, let's go a little bit into movement modes. So I tried to create a movement mode, but it was kind of difficult. But there is kind of general thing that you can do is you use this class called base movement mode, and with this class you basically get a few functions. You get on simulation tick, on unregistered, then on generate move, and basically when this triggers you get some data. So there is input collection, stuff like that. This is, I think I was trying to watch. I was basically opening their base class and trying to see how they set up from their examples, characters, stuff, and I tried to recreate it in blueprints, but yeah, as I said, it was not there and I couldn't make the character actually move using my own custom movement mode. But this is something that's gonna be fixed over the not fixed, but it's gonna be implemented over the months when the Unreal Engine 5.4 releases. But the general idea, if I understood correctly, is you have this generate move and then simulation tick. So when you are in this state, what happens on tick, and then I think this is triggered one time. So what happens when you switch to this state? So there's a bunch of stuff that you can do. So you have these collections, and these collections hold some data about your current input, orientation. There is also intent. So basically, I think this is kind of the direction where if the player presses to go in certain direction, but character is not currently going there because he's maybe rotating towards that position or something like that. I think that's what intent means, but I'm not sure. There's some jump stuff. So you can see there is different collections of different data, and then you can use this to do some stuff basically. And then this is the output, and it kind of defines what is the final directions, velocity and stuff like that for your character. Yeah, so that's kind of if you are creating your own thing. And later when you create your move, you can add it in here, or what I did is you can get this character motion component and then add the movement mode from class, and then you can define class, and I just added it in here. And later what you can do is when you press space, we're gonna queue the next mode. I think queue means the next frame is gonna start to this frame, basically saying whatever your mode in this frame, just the next frame go to this mode. And I'm sure there is some transition stuff that triggers, but yeah. And you define the name of it, and that's basically about it. Also, the only way in blueprints I made the character actually move was when I tried this try safe move updated component. And then you have the delta, basically the direction, and then the new rotation, and just get the character rotation. Also, what I like with their new component, that's kind of a small thing, but I'm guessing it's gonna get convenient in the future, is this using quaternions instead of a rotator for rotation, because usually with the character, when you need to set the rotation yourself, you get into some issues. You can get into gimbal lock or stuff like that, a character snapping. So it's nice that they are using quaternions by default there. Yes, let me just show you. So right now it's a little bit laggy, glitchy, however you would say it, when the character moves. I'm sure they're working on that, but yeah. So right now if I go forward, left, right, back, so my character is moving, and I'm basically doing this. So I'm trying to update the component, and if I try to pull from this character motion, and then let's do mover, we can see a bunch of stuff that we get with this. And I tried this try move, slide and stuff like this to make it work, but for some reason it didn't work, but this try safe mode actually worked. And unfortunately, when I click space and I try to use my own custom component, I just get teleported to 000 and I can't move. It's definitely a skill issue, I'm not sure how to use it, but also it might not even be implemented properly, so it might not even work in blueprints, I'm not sure. So now let's go into characters that actually work, and that's into the examples. If you go into engine plugins and then remove examples content, so the thing I showed you here, If you enable that, you're gonna get this, and then you can find some examples. So let me click play. Here still the character movement is a little bit laggy, unfortunately, but yeah, we're gonna have to deal with that. So first we have this trail tracking, so it's gonna let you know your trail basically. You also have some debug stuff on the component, but yeah, I wasn't playing with that. Let's see what this is. Desync zone, so I'm not sure what this means. Something I guess happens there. Let me disable this. Also my camera has some limit on rotation, I'm not sure why. That might also be a thing. So here we have teleportation, and none of these are going to be kind of impressive. This is just their testing maps that they're using while they're developing this component, but it's just interesting to see kind of what they're thinking about and working with. So that works. Then we have slopes. So this is, I think, unwalkable slopes. Then walkable slopes. Works fine. We have stairs. Now this is one of the features that I'm not really a fan of when it comes to character components, so hopefully they smooth this out. I don't like because you have like a step on minimum distance, meaning basically how high, if the character detects an object, how high the object can be before you cannot step on it anymore, which means basically if I move my character towards this box, it's gonna teleport character up and onto the box instead of just my character that is stuck on like a little rock or something. Now my issue with this is that usually it looks kind of laggy when you see it even in the current character movement component, so hopefully they fix this. In this version I can see right now it's just snapping, which I'm not a fan of, but hopefully they fix it. Now used in here you can see it's still a bit snappy, especially with the camera, but I'm sure they're thinking about that. This one I'm not even sure, I think I tried it and it didn't work, but I think it should. Oh, it's kind of trying to push you, I guess, but it's really weak. I'm not sure, maybe I need to jump. Oh, maybe. Okay, so I can jump and it pushes me, I guess. Okay, let's try another map. There is few of them that are interesting. Character movement, let's see this one. Oh, this one is fun, there is a bunch of stuff here. So zipline, I forgot how I can grab onto zipline. Yeah, when I could press F, it just changes the gravity, but I'm not sure what button it is. Maybe I need to enable it somewhere. But anyways, I think it worked okay. You basically go on the zipline. Okay, this is just trajectory. Let's disable that. Moving platforms. Okay, this is a big thing. One big thing with the other component is whenever you go from the moving platform, your character instantly stops. And this is one thing that I had issues with faster moving platforms, where you actually want the character to kind of go along with the platform, like it has the momentum of it. But if you jump, you instantly stop with the older character movement components. So hopefully they fix it with this one. But yeah, I'm not sure. For right now, I think they're not thinking about that, just making the character move with the platform. But you can see how we instantly start. That's kind of not what happens. If you have a fast moving, let's say a car, and the car moves from here to here, and if in here I jump, my trajectory is going to be something like this maybe. Because I get the momentum from the car, and I slowly lose the momentum as I get hit by the wind and stuff like that, and yeah, there is some friction, and I fall later. But if I'm jumping, of course, without any motion, I'm gonna jump just, yeah, up and down. So this motion does not happen right now with the character movement component. So ideally they can make this work with this mover 2.0. Or maybe they're kind of leaving it to the developer, so you can have your own custom movement mode and then you can implement that maybe, I'm not sure. Okay, let's see what we have in here. So surface sliding. Is this when you... Oh, maybe when you go to the side like this. Okay, I'm not sure, that's a weird one. Oh, I got hit and then fall back, okay. That's kind of weird, you don't want a character to kind of float in the air. Yeah, so you can see here more what they're thinking about. It's not there yet. As you can see, it's a really rough experimental stage, but I think in the 5.4 they're gonna release it, hopefully in better state. Oh, swap to dashing pawn, okay. So this pawn can dash, I think. I'm not sure how. Yeah, I'm pressing dash, but he's not dashing, so I'm not sure what's happening. Oh, this is testing the navigation of the pawn. So since the pawn, of course, or this mover can I'm assuming be with AI also, so you can test how the navigation works. Oh, this is the sliding with zero friction or low friction. Okay, that's cool. Let's see actually if this character can go on the zipline. Oh, okay, I managed it. Okay, this is nice. It seems like it works fine. He attaches and goes. I'm interested in the code for this. I still haven't tested it. Last thing I wanted to show is there is a map for testing that also might be interesting to check out if you're interested, but I honestly forgot where it is. Let's quickly see this one also. Okay, let's click play. So what are we checking in here? Oh, the interaction. One interesting thing that I would like to see is how does this work on the network? Because before with the other character movement component, the interaction by default was really awkward and stuttery. So hopefully with this character it's better. Yeah, so let's test this. I'm gonna create 2 characters. I'm gonna do play as client. Okay, so replication seems to work, at least basic one, and let's see how stuttery is interacting with the objects. Okay, actually seems smooth, but let's kind of test it a bit more thoroughly. So I'm gonna enable network emulation and let's do average. So you have 30 to 60, that should be fine. Okay, let's test it out. So now we have a little bit of lag. Okay, this seems to be handling it pretty well. So now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna move with the server in here. So we're gonna see everything like this. Then take one client, move in here. And then with the other client, we can try and interact with stuff and see just how it feels. So I don't see any stuttering, any crazy stuff happening. Ooh, okay, so these boxes are not replicated, that's why it's smooth. Okay, that's interesting. So if I try to move in here, oh, okay, so now we can see the issue. So then let's quickly test this out. Okay, so set them all to replicate just to see if this will work. So now if I move stuff around, does it replicate? Okay, now it is a little bit stuttery, a little bit might be an understatement, but it's still, I think, okay. It's not too bad. Definitely needs some polishing, but let's actually see if we push it into the character. But I can see there is some smoothing going on, so it's actually, I think, a little bit less laggy than the character movement component we have right now. So hopefully if this gets fixed, I think it's gonna be in a really good spot. Also, one thing that might be a little bit unrealistic here is that I set settings to 30 to 60. I think maybe 20 to 30. Might be a bit more, maybe like 25 to 30. Let's do that one. Because I think generally latency doesn't like randomly, not even oscillate, but pick like a random number from 30 to 60. I think that's a lot of noise or a lot of randomness. Let's see if it's kind of a more stable connection. What happens? Because if they are doing some prediction and a resimulation or something like that, there might be some stuff happening with that noisy connection that makes it way more laggy than it actually is, but maybe not. Okay. Okay. It's not too bad, it's okay. Yeah, the current character movement component would kind of stutter and the box would stutter, so they're doing some smoothing here, so it's a bit nicer. But yeah, so that's generally what I wanted to show you, just the current state and what's happening with it. Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited for this. If they made it, they just need to make it not too complicated to work with, so beginners or people that are actually not that experienced in Unreal can still use it, because the current character movement component is kind of nice for people that don't know how to create their own customized stuff, because you can just change some properties, change like the max walk speed, change if you can crouch or stuff like that, so it's kind of easy for beginners. So hopefully they make it kind of user friendly and give examples for like a third person template or something. If they give like a nice example of it and make it simple, it's gonna be pretty useful for beginners. But yeah, I'm excited. create custom movement modes. If network is solved, then creating characters is going to get way easier, or at least creating logic for the character. Of course, you still have animations and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, that's about it. Hopefully this was interesting, and hopefully you are also excited about Character Mover 2.0.